back in the day when we had ice caps?
Right.
And not just at Starbucks.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to talk about global warming at such a time. We're just, Alex, you're over there in Ohio.
I want to talk about it. I'm in a puddle right now.
I'm in Seattle, and it's hotter than the hinges of Hades.
Yeah. Whereas in New England, it's suddenly decided to be cold again.
I'll trade you.
Curious. Well, as we start to unravel the mystery of the mad meteorologist.
That's a
It's-
Silver Age villain if I've ever heard of
Don't
one.
you
Right.
think? Don't you think?
Right.
It is Mumamo, and we are. Sean Holland says, "Hey, actually starting early."
The shock.
Yeah, exactly. Ken sending good vibes. GM Jones just says, "Greetings, folks." I kind of like the music, a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's not horrible. I mean,
RC says, "Happy Monday, friendos." That's right. It's Mutants and Masterminds Monday. And on today's program, we are talking about writing an adventure.
For the Silver Age.
That's right. Yeah. And what did we say the reading list was? We talked about the Time Traveler's Codex.
Yep.
We talked about the Cosmic Handbook.
Yep.
the second
Uh,
edition Silver Age book.
Yeah, I was going to say, folks want to grab the second edition Silver Age book. Great resource, obviously.
Nice. I'm going to get those links ready to go. And, okay, great. Yeah. Any other books we can think of that folks might want to pull from their library as reference?
Oh, maybe Rogues Gallery. For
Ooh, sure.
some of the Silver Age themed characters there.
There's quite a few in there that feel very Silver Agey, despite
There
living in the modern era.
There are.
There we go. I find it. Yeah, where is that? I wonder if we have to still be selling the second edition
In
Silver Age.
PDF, almost certainly.
It was part of the Mega Bundle.
True. Which is a great
know-
way to get it and everything else.
I was just gonna say that's not a here way. I see it. I found it.
There's a Silver Age book, a Golden Age book, a Noir book,
Iron Age book,
an Iron Age book. For those heroes who don't have feet.
right? I like pouches,
Love pouches.
and guns, and ninjas,
Lots of ninjas.
right?
Yeah, but guess what? I know everyone's like, "What on time?"
So you've thrown everybody off by starting on time.
A Ronin
just-
arrives precisely when they mean to.
That is exactly right. That is. Speaking of arrive, because we do a little. We call it the pre-show pre-funk, and that's just an opportunity for folks to sort of get settled in. Let people get their buns and seats. Hey, Robbins, I'm gonna yeet you into the sun. He's like, faces. It's like it's only 2 minutes after. We do
My son
this.
came in to try to be on the show, and then he ran away when I had to pick him up. So
Oh, well, how about this? Just so we can have Nate cork it. Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
hello, this is my face. It is wet.
You look good. You look good. You look,
Listening.
yeah, you do.
Yes.
You do. You look like you might be taking a page out of Steve's book, whatever infernal thing he does to stay looking young at approximately 230 years old.
That's the
Give or
hope.
take.
Give or take, approximate. That's an approximation. Well, so Steve, you weren't with us last week.
I know.
We
I know.
got a big. We signed you out for something.
Yeah. I figured I'd get volunteered for something.
Yeah, you did. You did. Do you want to tell them about it, Alex?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Crisis.
Oh, yes. While you were gone, Steve, our friend Dominic came on to keep me company and to ask questions all about how to use vehicles and HQs,
Mhm.
specifically in a rescue-oriented capacity. So, like, saving people from natural disasters and backing up heroes who might not necessarily have powers of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that, Dominic offered to run a game for us, and I said that you would be happy to play.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. And I just like the whole notion of sort of the us against the environment.
Mm-hmm.
I've been
I dig
feeling
it,
that
right?
particularly today.
Yes,
I dig it. I
exactly.
dig it.
Alex is feeling a vendetta against the environment already.
Exactly.
Man versus nature.
Man versus the sun. Well, okay, so today we're talking about writing an adventure in the Silver Age, in Mutants and Masterminds Silver Age.
Mm-hmm.
So what? And this is a suggested topic that came out of our, we do a regular sort of like, let's plan what we're going to talk about, and it came from the peanut gallery, the chat, our favorite peeps. Do we want to like what differentiates the importance of the Silver Age versus any other Mutants and Masterminds, kind of thing?
Well, I think the Silver Age is sort of your quintessential comic book goodness. It's a lot of the Golden Age was sort of figuring out what superheroes was going to be, and then the Silver Age took that concept and cranked it up to 11 and kept a lot of the moral goodness that people love about the genre. It's very over the top. It's very colorful. There are a lot of pun names, which are great. And it's a lot of like superheroes can do anything. What are the fun stories we could tell about that?
Right.
I think that's what appeals to me about it specifically in this context.
Okay, nice.
I agree. I think that the Silver Age is slightly shinier and more optimistic than I guess I think of, and this I'm dating myself, but I think of the quintessential superhero age as the Bronze Age that slightly follows Silver Age. So it's the late 70s and early 80s comics, which of course coincidentally is when I started reading comics. So I tend to think of that, and that's where Silver Age starts to get a little bit more realistic and touch upon a little bit more sort of grounded real world stuff. But the early Silver Age, from the late 50s to the early Marvel years in the early 60s, is just like Alex says, it's just way over the top, and Jack Kirby drawing giant galaxies on every double-page spread, and
Superman sneezing and accidentally destroying the solar system.
Right, Superman actually accidentally blowing out the sun, kind of things.
Sure. Well, so what are some? So I'm getting a feel for the vibe and the aesthetic. Now, I think it was a Poog mentioned Atom Punk. Does that fall into the style? Like, is it?
Well,
that can be an aesthetic for some superheroes. It depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of the element, and it is an element of the Silver Age. That's the sort of 50s sci-fi element of atomic energy will either save us or destroy us, or possibly both.
That retro future thing.
That leads into a lot of the 60s Silver Age stuff, where definitely, and we talk about this in Silver Age, and I think even in the Game Master's Guide, that radiation is the quintessential origin for everything in the Silver Age. You're hit by radiation, you're in the midst of a radioactive meltdown, you're bitten by a radioactive something. It's radiation. That's where all your powers come from. Basically.
Got it. Very interesting. And so let's see. RC says, "Why do I suddenly feel like a parent making you eat vegetables in order to get your dessert?" He's talking to Pope. That's right. So how do you get all the players, around your table on the same page?
Well, much as I always say, have a good session 0.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, good. Yeah.
Make sure that you tell them these are the things. This is the age of comic story I want to tell. These are some of the influences I'm pulling from personally. So list if there are specific graphic novels that you like, or if there are specific runs of a story. Like, even within the Silver Age, there's differences. Like, this could be an Adventures of Jimmy Olsen style story, where just a bunch of wacky shenanigans happen to people. or you can be looking at stuff like the early Fantastic Four or early Spider-Man stuff.
Yep, indeed. And you can give such a wide range of options as always. You can decide that you are going to do a historical, period piece, and your Silver Age story is actually going to be set in the late 50s or early 1960s, and you're really going to go with that vibe. Or you might be going for just more of a Silver Age feel to things, and you're going to go with a modern style setting, but elements of it may be sort of retro, and you're just kind of going for that Silver Age vibe for it, but not necessarily setting it, in the time period.
Better Watch It just dropped a link that is in chat, and it's the M&M Caper #3, Deadly Day of the Dread Destructus.
Yep.
So
that
great.
Is a classic Silver Age style adventure.
Great link, great kind of a callback to this sort of a deep cut.
Yeah. Folks who have seen and enjoyed the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon, that is a classic example of doing Silver Age style in a sort of quasi-modern setting. Brave and the Bold kind of carefully avoids saying exactly when things are taking place, but there are certainly more modern elements to it.
Batman's so good at that.
But it's very Silver Age.
I love that. So I'm looking at, okay, so these individual adventures were later bundled up into the Silver Age, because I'm just trying to make sure that we don't want, pick up the Silver Age one if you're looking for, if we think that Deadly Day of the Dread Destructus is in there, or you can buy it up. You know what? You do you, friends. But that's a great link for you. And if it is it in Silver Age?
I don't know that it is, actually.
Let me see what it says here.
I think it is, but I am not 100% sure.
Right. So yeah, right. The Adventures Silver Age time frame can be adjusted to. Let's see.
There is no adventure in the Silver Age book.
Oh,
this adventure is set in Freedom City.
That might have been for the Silver Age book, and it got cut.
I see why I'm confused. So here's what it says real quick. I'm just going to share my screen because why not?
Inspector Gadget.
All right, so it says you can't really read it. I apologize for that. But it says that. Oh, I see why. So it references the. Good Lord! Look at that. That's just not. How is it helpful in any way?
Not at all.
It's not at all helpful. And then, or I can overlay your heads on the text I want to show folks. Fun. But so it's saying basically here, it says this adventure is set in Freedom City during the Mad Wonderful era, circa 1956 to 1969, described in detail in the Silver Age source book. So, it's not in there. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't sending folks on a little, duplicate purchase plan here. Let's see.
I think Reign of Cats and Dogs is a pretty good Silver
Would also
Age
be a
adventure.
Oh, good.
Adventure, I mean, and it explicitly basically is about, it's kicked off by raiding a Silver Age villain's lair, essentially. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
I love it.
Yeah. Also, Phineas and Ferb is a surprisingly good Silver Age superhero story. If
really?
People watch that.
No, I missed that.
I think Doofenshmirtz is 100% a great Silver Age mad scientist.
Yep.
And Perry the Platypus is kind of a great Silver Age superhero concept.
Squire is asking what a common pitfall is when trying to do Silver Age, and I think
great question.
The first and most important challenge, like Alex was saying, is getting everybody on the same page. Is making it clear that, because Silver Age can be kind of goofy, and to a certain degree, you need to lean into that. But you also have to kind of keep it from not being so goofy that it just goes completely off the rails. And hey, if your group is having fun with it, great. But it's tricky. It can be a fine line to thread to take the goofiness of the Silver Age somewhat seriously, and make that all work.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, especially in the Silver Age kind of game, where you might run into PCs who are entirely a gimmick and not necessarily a character, and that can be frustrating to play for a long term if there's not a decent foundation built underneath the gimmick. Yep. Like, I'm the guy who's invisible unless people are looking at me is a fun one-time character, but playing that for 10 adventures or 20 adventures or something might get old if you don't have other stuff to latch onto.
Yep. In fact, Alex basically points out the whole reason why the Bronze Age of comics happened was that the Silver Age characters, who were basically just gimmicks, were around long enough that other writers were like, there's got to be more here.
Right.
All of the Flash's villains.
We got to redeem these characters.
These guys some depth.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of what happened with the Fantastic Four.
Yep. Exactly.
That they really went over the depth end there on some of that breakdown of the characters, but they went from sort of I'm just an invisible girl to I am more powerful than the gods, and it was pretty wild. Let's see. Claude says, whatever happened to the newcomers?
Claude is referring to the team of characters from the Silver Age book who have basically never reappeared.
Yeah,
we don't really know what happened to them.
Maybe they're right here with us. We just don't know. What were their powers?
Could be. They were a really eclectic collection of Silver Age tropes. Who, as I recall, drove around the country in an RV.
Wonder Bus.
Well, I love that. Okay, so Nate asks a question. So, what super groups are the main players in the Mutants and Masterminds Silver Age?
Well, in the Earth Prime Silver Age, basically the three big superhero teams are, unsurprisingly, the Silver Age Freedom League, which is to say the original Freedom League. This is when the Freedom League first formed in the post Hades invades Freedom City story, and they are very they're a bit more Avengers-y than Justice League-like. This is more when they hang out in their downtown Freedom City headquarters. That is Bowman's old mansion, and are doing their sort of superhero shtick in Freedom City. This is the era of the Silver Age Atom family. Which is the original Atom family, which is Dr. Atom when he had a body. His daughter and the amazing Mentak and Jack Wolf are this sort of world globetrotting adventuring trio who explore all sorts of lost worlds and weird civilizations and scientific mysteries and all of that stuff. Mentak is secretly pining over Andrea Atom, but of course hiding the fact that he's secretly an alien prince from the moon, and the sort of things that happen in Silver Age comics.
Yeah. Well, here's something that's really fun. I was just doing a quick Google search, as I'm often want to do, and just given the longevity of Mutants and Masterminds, a really cool thing popped up by writer, designer, publisher, and professional geek Steve Kenson.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, guy. We love him. Freedom City annotated, and it just has some interesting sort of looks into, folks might, if you're hanging out with a couple minutes to kill, it's a really fun read. It's kind of breaks down some fun behind the scenes, why things were named the way they were, or, just it's random sort of annotations. I love it. So anyway, folks want to check that out. Make sure that when you're watching on demand, check that live chat, because that's where it's all happening. Sorry, Steve, I interrupted you.
No worries. And the third one is the aforementioned newcomers.
Big Johnny Quest energy.
Yep, who have definitely. They also have a lot of Glyph mentions the Doom Patrol, The newcomers definitely have some of that going on. They're definitely a little influenced by the Silver Age Teen Titans and X-Men to a certain degree, as well, of course, as me watching the live-action Shazam show from the 70s. Thus, the RV.
I love it.
Who is Hepcat? I need to know more about this cat.
If you have read the write-up in Silver Age, you know as much as I do, actually.
Cool.
So yeah,
he's a jumping beatnik is the best way I could describe him.
Pretty much.
Jumping beatnik.
Yep.
Oh, because he's a cat. He's a hep cat.
He's a hep cat.
Mm-hmm. The first sentence in this write-up is, all you cats digging what I'm putting down. The Hepcat's the groovinest hero ever in this here town.
Oh, see? Okay. I'm feeling that vibe for sure.
Yep. Very classic example of a Silver Age character who is a then popular trend written by a guy who is at least 20 years out of date. It's pretty much, the inspiration of Stan Lee trying to appeal to teenagers.
Right. Hey, cool kids.
Hey, kids. Hello, kids.
He blacked out and did superhero stuff. He doesn't even know he's a superhero.
Yep.
That is so great.
Come on, Daddy-O. You can't be doing that.
Simon says, and slang also changes with each generation, dog. You dig?
Mm-hmm. See, Alex, this is a whole new toy box for you to play with. You get to do anything you want with these characters.
Hepcat's coming back.
Yeah, got her, right?
I don't know how, but...
Well, that reminds me. So I think we're getting close to the end of our batch of Noir, and then for our Patreon, which you can learn more about, friends, by going to patreon.com/mutantsandmasterminds and hipsploitation. I like that. So who's up next? Is it Hero High?
Hero High Yearbook, I believe.
Yeah. So maybe we should line up some, Silver Age characters for the treatment.
Yeah, we could do that.
Well, speaking of which, we can talk more about that. And actually, one of the things we love doing is making plans and talking and having discussions with the actual patrons themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing that this coming Wednesday.
Indeed, we are.
Mm-hmm.
And is that at 2 p.m. Pacific?
No.
Or is it? It's more like 5 p.m. Pacific, isn't it?
Yes. Indeed, it is.
It's 8 p.m. my time.
8 p.m. Eastern.
That is it. That's right. So patrons are going to want to keep their eyeballs on the Patreon for all the deets, which will be we'll be doing a Zoom call and taking your questions, and it's a lot of fun. We have a good time.
Yeah, we do.
Talking about all sorts of stuff.
Make all kinds of plans, and we're going to. I think we'll have some fun stuff to sort of give people a glimpse of.
Glad that we can talk to people about Valiant stuff now. Now that
heck yeah, we can.
Thank goodness.
Well, so talk to me real quick about what we see the Patreon kind of contributing to that Valiant stuff. How do we feel like they'll be leaving their mark on that project?
Well, I'm hoping that through our dev chats and our just regular releases and feedback on the Patreon, that we can give folks a look at some of the things that we're, sort of an advanced look at some of the things we're doing for Valiant in terms of both rules, game system development, and just sort of character write-ups and, other sorts of concepts, bits and pieces that we're doing, so folks can give, just kick the tires and give us some feedback on it.
Awesome. Alex, did you want to add anything to that, or?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. We definitely want this to feel as much as your guys' project as it is ours. You are all the reason that we get to continue to do this, and we want to make sure you love it just as much as we do.
That's right. Claude says, dev chats for the win. RC says, I'll be sure to gather some annoying questions to ask RC. Your questions are never annoying.
We knew we could count on you.
That's right. That's right. Nate says, yes, Nate will be there to harass you all. Yeah, I did too. RC, get out of my head. RC, so Nate typed that in all caps. Let me show you. So Nate typed that in all caps.
Which
And then
apparently for everyone equals King Shark voice.
It really, I was like, that reminds me of that King Shark. Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah, this is so funny. I love it. Link is ready to emote all over. Excellent.
Yep. Wiki, I love Reverse Flash too, but that's because Reverse Flash has depth now. It isn't just the Flash, but yellow.
Hey, and from the future.
And from the future.
Wait, so Simon's saying Recollection Road is one of YouTube channel that's good for showing what things in the 1950s. Oh, okay, cool.
Right, because it's really worth mentioning just how long ago the Silver Age was for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know.
Wiki stares even harder in Zoom.
I'm doing my best.
Right.
Anybody who fights the Flash is out of their mind. Like the person, the Captain Boomerang was like, "I'm gonna throw a stick at him." I know he's the world's fastest man, but
right.
I'm gonna throw a stick at him.
A boomerang. That boomerang is a stick that comes back. It's a
true enough. Stick. True enough.
Yep. Yeah. Captain Cole was like, "I'll make the floor slippery."
There's a super deep cut in Avengers Justice League where Hawkeye decides he's going to take the Flash out with a boomerang arrow because, best of all, he did it to the Wizard from Squadron Supreme in a previous Avengers issue, and he tries it on the Flash, and it Flash like sees it coming from a mile away and dodges it, and it's just like, yeah, I have a little experience with boomerangs.
You know who was my favorite Silver Age villain who's out of their mind?
Mm-hmm.
Slipknot. This guy is a Firestorm enemy who's like, that's a living nuclear reactor, and I'm good at tying knots. I can take him.
Yep. Well, especially because Slipknot's key thing is that Firestorm can't transmute organic matter, and Slipknot has hemp ropes as weapons.
Well, at least he's getting high while he's dumb.
Right. You know, like he has like real rope, you know, and so therefore Firestorm can't transmute his way out of it, in spite of the fact that he otherwise has, you know, tremendous, vast atomic powers.
Yeah, like he could burn the rope, Slipknot.
Yeah.
Unless that counts as a transmutation effect.
Simon mentions about, you know, basically just like the whole notion of not having cell phones.
Right. That is really very interesting.
It's such culture shock.
Yeah.
I remember I actually ran an M&M adventure at a con where the characters get time displaced. And one of the players who was, I think, a teenager at the time, and this was about 15 years ago, was just like, well, we can, you know, like they were trying to track somebody down who was missing, and they end up in this time lost scenario. And the player is like, well, we'll just use GPS. And I'm like, yeah, guess what? GPS satellites haven't been invented yet.
That's right. It's all Chevrolets and a paper map.
Chevrolets. What are you, the Flintstones? Get out of here.
I am. That is awesome. Reporters with a pocket full of dimes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Getting to a payphone to go, stop the presses.
You know, Glyph mentions that Green Lantern's weakness to yellow seems like an interesting holdover.
Yep. That's a classic Silver Age thing.
Yeah, I think that's something to remember when you're making Silver Age characters, is to give them just a dumb weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, GM Jonesy says Flash also fights the top and Yo-Yo.
Yep.
Just everybody who fights the Flash is out of their mind. Like
they are, right?
The whole Rogues Gallery.
They're all pretty much crazy, but
says got car, gonna push it with my feet now. I wish I had that sound effect. That you know, when they're getting ready to speed on down the road. It's a living. John says in the Silver Age, Captain Atom, Captain Atom, a living nuclear weapon fought Punch and Julie.
Yeah.
Oh, Julie. Okay, gotcha. So based off of the puppets. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Book says, I set a TMNT based game in the 80s for a bunch of 20 somethings, and man, the hand holding to lead them to phone booths. And every car had a road atlas, right?
Right.
Oh gosh, I forgot
There's
those
no
atlases.
internet. How do we do anything?
Why are you having me go to this dirty box? Yeah, I love it. Because really, the only reference that there has been really culturally modern day is The Matrix. That's how they kind of got out of there.
Yep.
Once again, when
Yeah.
heroes were heroes and villains had themes. Yeah.
Stranger Things is pretty good, but I think they hand waved some of the issues they would have had back then with communication and getting around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that can be an important thing to keep in mind is if you are doing something set in the Silver Age, maybe you can hand wave some of that stuff. It just depends on how much you want it to affect the story and if you want that to be an element of the fun.
Sure.
And knowing who your players are.
Yeah, I mean, and you certainly, I mean, because it's the Silver Age, super technology was all over the place. So, I mean, if you want your characters to have communicators that are basically cell phones, that can reach them wherever they are, you've got plenty of precedent for it. Lots of superheroes did that.
It's my Freedom League membership ID with the screen on it.
Right, exactly.
Your
the little
comlink
communicator on it. My belt buckle communicator, which was a popular thing at the time for some reason.
That's weird.
Well, David Bodie does mention that we all just have to realize that we did things a lot slower in the past. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is an interesting sell, especially just given how fast-paced things are.
Although at the same time, also a lot faster, because at least as far as Silver Age comics go, there was definitely a much more compressed storytelling. I have seen lots of superhero plots that I'm like, wow, that would have been like a 16-page story in the Silver Age. Like,
right.
Not like 8 issues, played out over like, 80 pages.
Right. Rebel Moose mentions, I feel like any Silver Age adventure also requires an appropriate announcer type, like from the old radio shows where it sounds like the announcer can't open their throat enough. And they're kind of like, what do we call that? The Eastern Seaboard?
Transatlantic
Mid-Atlantic accent.
Mid-Atlantic, the Mid-Atlantic,
But you definitely want to go a little Powerpuff Girls on it, and meanwhile across town,
I do that in every game I play anyway. It doesn't matter what the genre is. And I think it is an interesting thing to try to emulate when you're GMing this kind of story, because stuff did take longer, but the plots are so much shorter.
Yeah.
Like the pacing is so much faster in these stories, which I think is because people didn't have a lot of leisure time from all their wandering around.
RC says our recent 80s game, he's talking about Masks and Mayhem, I believe. Our recent 80s game was a little Silver Age. The players were a combo of Bruce Lee and the Terminator, Manimal, and I Dream of Jeannie versus basically an evil version of Doctor Who. Yeah. That feels very Silver Agey.
Yep, indeed.
Oh, that's true. Simon says, and people went to libraries and read newspapers more as the internet was either non-existent or a lot harder for civilians to access. Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
It just incoherent.
Kids used to hang out by bridges and bully people.
Oh, you should. Yeah. Oh my. What was up with bridges? I mean,
kids too.
What is up with that? That is so bridges and holes in the earth.
Yep.
I blame Stephen King.
Yeah, maybe. Or is it just something? Because I'm growing up, we called it the Crater. And we just went there, and that's where we went to drink and be bad kids. But, everybody went.
Lots of quarries.
Yeah. Lots of ends of highways, or roads that's so funny.
We didn't have anything fun like that growing up.
Oh.
I had to go to an abandoned Wendy's parking lot when I wanted to be bad.
It sounds like a place where mischief can be made.
One time the police came. That was really funny.
Oh, hey, wow.
Yeah, the officer was like, "Do you want to conceive your child in a Wendy's parking lot?" And I was like, "Well, at least I know what her name would be." And then he called my mom.
That's why they
Right.
call you the bad boy at TTRPGs, my friend.
That's a fun story to tell your kids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Come on,
Hey,
Wendy.
Wendy, do you want to know why you're named that?
And then the boy's named Square,
Mhm.
like square meat, square beef. Or Dave, I suppose. The
Right.
children yearn for the mines, says Claude. They do. Just harkens back to the days
Yep.
of
Yeah.
the black lung. Let's see. Setting a game in an abandoned parking lot seems compelling. Maybe as a challenge, to get through the parking lot. Maybe if you're dealing with something where the bullies are there or you get into a fight. But
It's a tough place for Spider-Man to fight anybody.
yeah, exactly. With
Right.
just sort of right. Not a lot of flying around, but certainly some flipping and flopping and kicking and webbing. So Glyph had also mentioned that you could take sort of modern, more modern villains and give them the treatment, sort of give them sort of
Absolutely.
that. And we've talked a little bit about that, but any thoughts like on how you would, or if there is an adventure that maybe you would give that would look a lot different than it does now, with the Silver Age treatment?
Well, I don't know about would look a lot different, but A Cold Day in Midtown is a perfect Silver Age adventure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Play around with a little of the tech and some of the villains' backgrounds slightly, and you wouldn't have to change much, and you've got a total Silver Age adventure.
It is.
Likewise, Menace on Mystery Mountain, you can do totally as a Silver Age adventure. Folks, were asking. David Bodie was asking, "Is Scooby-Doo Silver Age?" And it absolutely is.
Oh, certainly.
And you could definitely make that adventure very Silver Age as well.
Yeah. Even Mystery Inc., I think, would be a great example of a modern set Silver Age story.
It is. It sort of
just
retains
because-
that vibe.
Yeah, they just accept things. Like a villain shows up and says, "I have a horde of locust metal cows that eat everything in the way." Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. Ron Pat brings up, so looking at that era and looking at sort of what was going on at that time, Satanic Panic, all about just, TTRPGs and kind of, satanic rituals and things like that's, a cult is kind of a fun.
That's actually more Bronze Age and Iron Age.
I see. Okay.
The Bronze Age 70s got very into the occult. And so that's where you get a lot of the, sort of, Son of Satan and Werewolf by Night and all of that sort of stuff. Very, very much vibing on stuff like The Omen and those popular trends in horror at that time. 80s is definitely Satanic Panic because there, of course, you have the rise of D&D, and that is the era of Stranger Things and all of that sort of thing.
Well, Simon asks about Time of the Apes from the Deluxe Heroes Handbook. Is that Silver Age?
Anything with apes.
It easily could. Right, I was going to say anything with apes and monkeys can totally be Silver Age.
Right. I like it. Let's see. Sean Dugan says, I'm still catching up due to coming in late, but excellent Silver Age and Modern Age example is the Don't Tell My Parents book series and forced Silver Age to reduce casualties. Okay. Yeah, great. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Well, there's a potentially apocryphal story that when Julie Schwartz was editor-in-chief at DC Comics and basically ushered in the Silver Age, that they discovered that exactly what Ron Mappat says. You put an ape on the cover, comic sales go up. And DC actually had to enforce an ape limit that said you could only have apes on the covers of so many comics per month. Without overdoing, because everybody wanted to do it once they found out that trick worked.
Very interesting. That's funny. So they had an ape budget.
Yep.
They didn't want to.
They only do it so many times. They didn't want to overdo it.
That is awesome. I love it. You said, I'm sorry, was that Escape from What was the other adventure that you'd mentioned?
Menace on Mystery Mountain.
Menace on
Mhm.
Mystery
Yep.
Mountain.
Yep.
Escape to Witch Mountain.
No, that's a different adventure.
That's a different adventure. Totally different.
I think Little League is also a great Silver Age adventure.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, anything with Quark in it would be a good Silver Age adventure. If you are
Idiot
using
Box would be great.
I was going to say, if you're using the right TV tropes, Into the Idiot Box is a great Silver Age adventure, because the Silver Age people are obsessed with television, and it was the perfect sort of setup for that.
Awesome. I just realized too, the Menace on Mystery Mountain is it's over at Roll20 as well.
Indeed.
It is.
It is. Links in chat for sure. Let's see. Was there a Watchmen cartoon? RC brings up, says, I haven't thought of the Watchmen cartoon in many moons.
That feels like a even worse interpretation of that source material than Zack Snyder's.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Holy cow! There is a Saturday morning Watchmen in
out.
2009. What?
That is
Why?
What? Why have I never even? I mean, I'm glad I didn't. But
Is Rorschach in it?
There's also a really terrific DC Blue Beetle short that's done in the style of the 60s animated series. That's also awesome.
That is so funny, and it looks like Rorschach was in it. I can't tell. I'm looking. I'm looking at these. Let me just share my screen. It is hilarious.
Is it a parody? Okay.
Is it a parody?
That is.
Oh,
it's not an earnest adaptation.
Okay, good. All right, thanks, John. Yeah, it's a parody. Okay, good. Well, I mean, that's hilarious. It's so funny to see this. It had us going. We're just like, what? How could it be possible?
Right.
This has big VOD. This has big VOD YouTube energy.
Yeah,
from the boys YouTube marketing campaign.
Yeah, it's so funny. An in-universe tie into the movie. Okay, I see. So all part of the master plan, but hilarious and so well done, and such a great commentary on how when you get to Saturday morning cartoons level of entertainment, you've really entered a whole new world.
Really made it.
You really made it. Yeah, I can't wait till we are a Saturday morning cartoon. What would we call it?
Well, first of all, it would be a Monday morning cartoon.
That's right. That's right. Because we're not changing times.
Nope.
We have to change
We've
the
got a
name.
brand.
We got a brand. And it
a Monday afternoon cartoon. I'm not waking up in the morning.
All right, that's fair.
That's fair. And honestly, these days it doesn't matter when we'll be doing it.
Right.
People will stream
Wait,
it. They can
you mean
stream
shows are on at specific times?
Right. Yeah. Zane and Xana, is that the twins? With the monkey Gleep or Gleek?
That's Zan and Jaina.
Oh,
the Wonder Twins.
Okay, close. Who's Zane and
Close.
Xana then, Nate?
Just tell us.
Yeah, tell us who Zane and Xana is.
That's the Freedom League version. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Let's see. You could roll the Watchmen back to their roots as what is that?
The Charleston comics characters.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
the Watchmen are actually a great example of what happens when you take a bunch of Silver Age characters and tropes and put them in the Iron Age.
Right.
Apply all of the grit that
The
goes
texture,
with that
right.
to it. Because originally Watchmen was a pitch from Alan Moore to use the Charlton characters that DC had just recently acquired when they bought out Charlton Comics. And DC was like, this is a great story, but we will never be able to use these characters again after you tell it. So how about you make up some new characters?
Right. Awesome. I love it.
I'm very glad that didn't happen to the question, because I would have been very sad if that had happened to the question.
Right.
Oh, it's funny too. I just love it when you grab links off of the internet and everything is, because Mutants and Mastermind has been around for 20 some odd years. Is it 20, 22?
21?
21?
22?
Yeah, 21, 22. But I was looking up A Cold Day in Midtown to grab it from the store, and I found the actual play that we did.
Mm-hmm.
It was really close to one of our first actual plays,
Yeah,
but
indeed.
boy, that overlay looks sharp. We got to do something. Got to make our.
Right.
Well, yeah, this was back when we were still kind of doing Zoom and using OBS. But let's
Yes,
see. We would never have gotten the DCAU question if that happened.
indeed. We would
That is
not.
true. Let's see.
Or
Simon says,
Captain Adam or any of the other Charlton characters.
right, right. Simon says, as a kid in the 90s, I had cable with access to Cartoon Network Europe. So I saw a lot of Silver Age cartoons as a kid.
Mhm.
Space Ghost, Dynamut. Oh,
Yeah.
Dynamut.
Blue
right.
Falcon and Dynamut.
Wow.
Great Silver Age team.
And then we've mentioned this in past shows, but where would the Electro Woman and Dyna Girl and
very Silver Agey.
yeah, okay, yeah, sort of the Croft superstars.
Yep.
Such a. I still every once in a while I'm like, did that actually happen in my did I watch that? It's so weird.
Right. It's
Did my
trippy.
brain make that up?
Yeah, right. That's what I think. I'm like, is it a dream I had? I love it. Greg says, loving the original content, missed the DC stuff, and looking forward to the Valiant partnership,
Mhm.
catching up on their titles. Loving it. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I hope your first superhero game goes well, Greg. Are
Yeah.
you running it or are you playing it?
You can let us know here in the chat. And then Gene, hi Gene, good to see you. I got an idea. Gang found the HQ of a Silver Age villain team. Yeah.
That's basically the plot hook for Reign of Cats and Dogs,
Right.
And you could definitely play out more of that from the whole notion of, an old abandoned supervillain lair is like a dungeon crawl to the characters taking over, that old lair and turning it into their headquarters. You do a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Squire says, I was convinced the Shazam show was made up in my head. I thought I had the same problem with, oh my gosh, it was Dr. Shrinker.
Yes,
I
another
just
Croft Superstars.
Yeah, I thought
production.
I had to have made that up.
Nope.
I just, yeah,
You did
no, I
not.
did not. I did not.
You did not.
Was it called the Shazam show or the Captain Marvel show?
It was called Shazam.
Wow.
Glyph says one of the characters that I use, Spibby, is a modern character who's trying to reconcile having a Silver Age-esque origin for powers. Spibby's coming up as a feature here very soon in our at the drafting table. It's going to be, we sat down and we had a long conversation about Spibby, who, if I'm recollecting, is kind of some raccoon tendencies. Which I love. So that's
Nice.
coming up here shortly.
One thing I love about the Silver Age is how earnest everything is, because
that's it, isn't it?
Everything will bite you and give you powers, but nobody is out trying to get bit to get powers.
Right. No.
Like a modern story would be like, well, obviously I'm going to go find spiders to bite me so I could be like Spider-Man.
Right. There's none of that, nobody actually like thinks it all through as far as that goes. Everybody just takes everything at face value. Like, yeah, okay, of course.
Yeah, that checks out.
I like this. John Pologic says the Silver Age crime syndicate of Earth 3 robs banks, steals artifacts from museums, and challenges the JLA for fun. The modern day version goes on murder sprees, sabotages the world economy. Yeah, right. It's a little darker. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so more earnest, more fun, more wholesome in some regard. You would buy a fruit pie, a fruit hand pie from one of these, villains.
Indeed.
They're all wrapped up, and Spider-Man's like, "Here, have a pie." Sorry, hang on one second. My granddaughter fell asleep during the show. Sorry.
Oh, Nate, you're so soothing.
Yeah. That's right. We are listenable.
The dulcet tones of our voices just put children right to sleep.
That's right. Glyph says only villains in the Silver Age try to recreate conditions that create heroes. Reverse Flash.
Right. Pretty much.
I like that. Oh shoot! It's 2:48 by my watch, which means we're kind of moving into kind of towards the end of the program. My question for you two is in sort of tying a bow on the experience of playing a Silver Age, like, clearly if that's a fun thing, you can play it for as long as you want, but
Mhm.
what is a good way to sort of tie it up? What are some thinking about sort of the epic Silver Age sort of solutions to problems?
Mhm.
Well, if you're talking about a whole series, I think there are two ways that you can resolve it, and one of them is really happy and one of them is really sad. And I think the happy way to resolve a Silver Age campaign is to have the heroes officially solve every problem in the world, and everybody just gets to live happily ever after.
Pretty
Right.
much.
The sad ending is we move into the Bronze Age and then the Iron Age, and everything gets dirty and sad. And
Right. They get to watch everything they've done fall into ruin.
They start killing your loved ones. The villains start like dealing drugs instead of stealing cars from the moon.
Right.
Yep.
Well, yeah, there you go. Ken Pham says, end the Silver Age by killing Gwen Stacy.
That's what a lot of people say is the official end of the Silver Age.
Right. Yeah. So, too soon, run with Pat says. Okay. Well, so other things to consider, if you,
Sorry.
what was that? No,
Right.
what was that?
Pope Brandon Brownstone. The unhappy way to resolve the Silver Age is that Reagan gets elected.
Reagan gets elected. Yep.
No joke.
That's
joke.
exactly how the Iron Age starts.
Right. David Buddy says they try to solve all the problems, but end up with Thunderworld. I like it. Other words of advice, thoughts, recommendations, things that folks should consider when they're writing an adventure in the M&M Silver Age.
I honestly keep it both simpler than you think it needs to be. And for Silver Age adventures, in my experience, don't be afraid to give the players essentially what seem to be, from a game system perspective, unsolvable problems. Hand them a foe who is completely immune to damage, or who is virtually omnipotent, or who just can't be easily defeated by just punching them in the face. And
Right.
let them come up with a really clever way of doing it, because that's very Silver Age in style as far as that goes. I mean, you can do fun fights with jobber villains and like all you want, but I think sometimes for a good Silver Age plot, it's don't be afraid of saying, yeah, nope, sorry, that doesn't work.
Devious Hearts. Devious Heart says, I hate all this dark is king and all other things are stupid mentality. I think you're right. I mean, I think people just need to be introduced to some fun and some lighthearted, it doesn't all have to be darkness and forever struggle, or maybe it does. Your mileage may vary. So Glyph says, reminds me of how there are so many energy beings in the first season of TNG.
Yeah.
I think my advice is to work on your alliteration.
Yes.
Work on your monologuing.
Right.
And don't be afraid to do something silly. I mean, it doesn't have to be, not every problem has to be the end all be all problem of the entire world. Especially in the Silver Age. It can be something like, oh no, I accidentally turned all my loved ones into birds, and now I need to go find those birds and put them in a cage.
Right. Exactly.
That is awesome. I love it. Squire says, painting yourself in glowing white paint and pretending to be a ghost is often a solution.
Right.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, okay, so we've got just a few minutes left of the party. Steve, what have you got cooking? Anything out there in the world that you want to share? Links or anything to a personal project or?
Well, folks can always check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Steve Kenson, where I am doing various superhero-y things for icons for the most part. Right now it's aliens. I think eventually it's going to be Cthulhu mythos. I'm still working on what's coming up next for that stuff.
Nice.
But there's plenty of it.
Speaking of which, now wait a minute. Is it true that I'm looking at our calendar, and the next show is,
is not planned, so it's probably going to be a planning episode.
Right? Yeah, I think so. I think
feels right to
so.
me.
Say that again.
So that feels right to me.
Well, so that means that next week we're going to be doing this is it.
All right.
We'll be doing a planning episode, which is great. Alex, what have you got cooking? You got any fun stuff happening this week?
Oh, I got a lot of fun stuff happening this week. I'm getting ready for a special appearance again over on Masks of Mayhem, but this time Troy's coming with me.
Hey, that'll be fun.
So I'm doing that instead of our usual Freedom League Dark stream. But when we come back to Freedom League Dark next week, we are still in the Marvel Idiot Box. So our heroes right now are getting ready to fight Mr. Sinister, who has taken on the role of Dracula in a Bridgerton version of Dracula. It's a nightmare. Really, it is.
Literally.
Yeah.
I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah, Ray Jean Page is playing Blade in the Bridgerton vampire story. It's great. It's great.
There's nothing I don't like about that.
Yeah. And Origins is fast approaching, and I've
Yes.
got lots of fun games going on over there. My brother and I are making a lot of fun terrain for it, so it's gonna be fun to look at.
Oh, so it's
If nothing else, it's gonna be fun to look at.
so you're like bringing like real glass to kind of spread it around the sprinkle on the floor so that people can have to walk over or crawl over it. Some real traps and things that they have to. I love that. I can't wait for the
hard
video.
part is finding all of the human skeletal remains for the invasion.
That's right.
Yeah, I can only dig so many holes before people start asking questions.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, folks, we come to you every single Monday, and when we do, it's often with great ideas inspired by the conversations that we've had in the chat. And next week's show is going to be a ton of fun. For those of you who have not attended a planning meeting, we will be basically taking your suggestions and then plugging them in, synthesizing them. And it's really kind of a look behind the scenes almost, but you get to be a part of that. And
scheduling sausage is made.
That's right. And it's, it's really a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun. And we end up, multiplying, amplifying what the ideas and the creativity to come up with something really exciting. And RC mentions that Alex and Troy will be joining us for a special stream of Session 0 of our upcoming series, Redacted Rangers Suicide Squad style game, which will run after our season 2 finale. Nice. We're looking forward to
returning to the role of Beowulf Odinson, who is a cowboy with a handgun that's got a shard of Mjolnir in it.
Wow. That's intense. I love it.
So I shoot lightning bolts and I ride my niece around as a 9-legged horse.
I love it. Let's see.
Deity-family relationships are always so entangled.
Poe mentions last night RC came up with an idea for a vampire cop who I suggested should be named jeez.
Dracabula.
Dracabula. Acabula. Yeah. I really do like that idea. Listen, friends, we're at the end of the program. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Of course, Alex, Steve, thanks for hanging out with us. This is my favorite hour on any Monday. Like any Monday that has ever existed, this is the best hour, I think. I want to thank everyone in chat. You guys are all such a blast. So funny. Now, remember, if you got a thought, you got an idea, you want to sort of explore or present an opportunity for us to, think outside the box, do something interesting and fun, send a note to letsplay@greenronin.com, understanding that we'll get to it when we can. And also, maybe your idea is just too amazing before it's time. But we like to hear it. We like to collaborate and have some discussion on it. But with that being said, I think we're all done. We'll be back next week with our planning show. Until then, make sure you check out Thursday. That's coming up this Thursday, same time, same place. We just sort of move around, change out the skin suits and move around the set. Yeah. But with that, good night, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.